Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Afternoon FM. Today I am joined by podcaster, artist, host of First Class, Second Place,
Yes.
Jason Enrique.
Thank you for having me, man. This is really, really special, man.
Yeah, I know.
Appreciate it.
It's weird for me, man, because a little bit before the podcast started, man, we were talking about like how this kind of started.
Yeah.
And bro, believe it or not, you were like the first podcast I actually saw live.
Wow.
It was last year, man.
I remember that. Wow, and that's actually very humbling to hear, man. The fact that I was a source of inspiration for you, and you've been killing it, man. And I gotta tell you also, I love the format that you've been doing as like where it's audio only, because I think one thing that we found out about each other is the fact that we're both fans of the WTF podcast by Mark Maron.
Yeah. Shit, bro.
Yeah, and I started off the podcast doing just audio only, and it was more about just getting my feet wet. And I never intended it to be video, but everybody was telling me that, you know what, you got to do video. If not for anything, it's just exposure, just to get your name out there on YouTube. So I reluctantly did it, and to be honest with you, I'm enjoying it for the most part, but there's a part of me that sometimes thinks that, you know what, I actually miss when it was just audio only. I didn't have to worry about a camera in my face, and the interaction was just the two of us.
Yeah, that's what I love about this, man, is I'm half and half with I want to go in a video, but it's weird because it's like I want to do it maybe for I don't know, one guest to showcase, but it's like I don't really want to even showcase, because I feel like, man, if there's a fucking camera on us, we start acting, it's like, yo, let's go and get the fucking clip. There really isn't a clip, but there's
Right.
so much actually just in a conversation if you just let it rock. And that's the beauty of Mark Maron shit, because Mark Maron, his Joe Rogan has the clips, man, and there's not to say there's not great
Yeah, there's
conversation.
nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong. I'm just saying fucking Maron, man, if you listen to what Jim Carrey's talking about in the fucking thing, where he's he's your mind is like a scaffold, and he's once you start to remove all the fucking once you start to remove all the scaffolding from your mind, he's there you really are, you know what I mean? It's that's something if Jim Carrey was acting,
Yeah.
it's Jim Carrey, you're gonna take it as that, but this man's really just speaking some wise shit.
Right.
Fucking But yeah, dude, I'm a huge fan of Mark Maron's podcast, but it's it's also that, man. I don't really like a camera in my face. And it's crazy because I do photography. I'm very reluctant to be photographed. I'm not I'm a little weirded out by my own image.
Now let me ask you a question. With that same theory, whenever you do have a camera in your face and you're taking photos or whatever, is that it, when you do these crazy faces or these poses or whatever, is that more of a defense mechanism based on what you're just telling me right now?
Actually, when I was it's kind of it goes back to being a little kid, you know what I mean? How people they end up trying to being the class clown. It's not necessarily.
That's true, with the bunny ears and shit.
No, it's just kind of.
Yeah, well,
I do the crazy faces because I'm I don't know. It's I don't think it's more of a defense mechanism. I feel like it's more of just I'm acting hey, whoa, fucking, you know what I mean? It's it's
Yeah.
it's yo, you're putting a fucking camera in my face, you know what I mean? But if it's if it's just you and me and we're sitting here and we're talking, it's very different. It's we're acting. We've transcended us being here, and now it's you and me and the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's wherever this is going, or whatever the fuck this thing happens to be, which is crazy because this is a conversation. It's shared, you know what I mean? But it's also there's times, man, where these shits they don't even fucking exist. It's equipment, but it's also just a very minimal setup, and there's no there's no
Big
no
pressure or anything
there's
that.
no pressure to perform, man.
Mm-hmm.
But if you but what's crazy is I've come to I've learned in this shit is that it's venting, man. It's this it's a forum. It's a release.
Yeah.
There's no real there's no oh, you missed a note on a beat. You know what I mean? It's just this is just what the person is. But I end up I'm starting to get my format of this, and it's strange because it's you're everybody. What I noticed, man, is with the podcast is that everybody kind of has their own different their own thing. Like Marv's Marv in the morning is like, I'm gonna make you like edutainment. Shout out to Marvin Perdomo.
Shout
Bravery.
out Bravery Studios. What up?
Bravery up. Fucking Marv's got like Marv in the morning, which is like kind of like edutainment, and then he has like, you know, there's Live from Bravery Studios where he's going and he's interviewing like these subjects.
Yeah.
You throw in like trivia. Mina's got her own vibe to her thing. Mina's is like a fucking like a late night, not even like a late night show.
Yeah, like, shout out to Mina Mendoza.
Yeah,
one of the dopest podcasts out in Jersey. Absolutely.
Yeah. But there's a lot of production for Mina's thing, and it's like also, you know, it's
but
like,
you know what though, she's built for it. You know,
Yeah.
like she has that personality. Like, do you have no idea how many times me and her have been out in public and we tell them about our platforms?
Yeah.
And almost like 9 times out of 10, they say like, "Oh yeah, you look like or you have that aura like a host type of
Yeah.
thing. Like you look like you host your own thing."
Yeah.
So she got that personality. She's got that look. She's got the swagger. So
little
it's
girl,
perfect
big
for her.
personality.
Yeah, queen of motherfucking spice.
Yes. Yeah. Like,
Yeah. Don't sue me for that one. That's not.
Yeah, no, that's completely copyrighted. Thanks for demonetizing the podcast, Jason. Fucking Jesus Christ.
Sorry, brother. I mean, hey,
It's all good. No, it's good. I don't get paid for this shit.
I've been doing the show for about a year and some change now. I haven't monetized yet, but you know what? That's not why I got into it in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I did. I only got in this for the money, bro. It's just there's so much money in this.
Right, but
wait till I start selling you guys water. Right.
Yeah, but I gotta tell
when
you
the
something.
water runs out.
Yeah, I gotta tell you something though. So,
Sorry, I watched the last of it.
No, that's fine. You're good, man. This is your show anyway.
Nah, it's fucking.
So, you were just mentioning a little while ago about how, you know, me coming to your studio and it kind of like inspired you, for lack of a better term, to just do this podcast thing and everything, and you're doing it. And as much as I appreciate that, I think that the same energy can be said as well, because I kind of got a little bit of breaking news right now as well. So anybody that follows me knows that I have first class second place. That's been doing pretty good, and I'm thankful for all the supporters and everything being part of the journey. And then you know, I have the IG live show every Thursday at 8 p.m. with Mind Mix. Shout out to Mind Mix. We have a Sidetrack. That's the name of the show. And then I got a sports podcast coming out in March with my boy Keith. Shout out to Keith. So I'm looking forward to that. However,
busiest man in podcasting.
yeah, and however, I'm starting to think that I'm psychotic, because you kind of took me back of how fun it really was to just do an audio only podcast, not focus with the camera in your face and so on and so forth. So now I think I'm going to add a little bit more to my plate, and I decided that I'm going to do another podcast. It's going to be solo, no guests, no co-host, and not even that long, probably like 10-15 minutes of just whatever is on my mind, unfiltered,
Ranting.
raw, uncut. And I was inspired by Adam Sandler with the title. It is now going to be called Gem Uncut, JEM, which is my initials.
Okay.
Gem Uncut.
All right, word.
And it's going to be
Uncut gems.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's going to be audio only. I probably won't be doing too much promos for it. The cover's not even going to feature my face. It's just me to anybody that's willing to listen to my voice and hearing what I have to say.
Yeah, it's fucking great, man. Yeah, bro. Like when you first did yours, I was like, I don't know. I saw it happen, and it was like, you know, we were the first podcast I ever saw in person. You know what I mean? I've listened to podcasts. I would listen to I listened to Startup, fucking a lot of the tech ones. I listened to fucking Masters of Scale, and they would just interview when I was in Reading and I was growing weed up there. Like, if you ever want to leave weed, the closest thing, the best job you can get is in tech. So, you know, I'd start to study a lot of the tech bros and fucking but yours was the first one there, and then it's crazy because then after yours I kind of got introduced to this community. You know, I think I met Marvin, I think once before that. I think I met Marvin maybe that day. I think Marvin was your guest, right?
Yeah, he came here, and that's also when I happened to meet Squirrel Rosenberg as well.
Yeah.
And it was crazy because I've been wanting to meet him for quite some time, ever since I saw him do that interview with Mayor Saya, mayor of Paterson.
Yeah.
And I knew that he was doing it here at, I think it was a floor below or whatever.
No, floor above. It was on the
above.
5th, yeah.
Okay. So, but I knew he was doing it in this building, and I thought that, wow, that's pretty cool, and I thought he did a pretty good job. I think he's got a phenomenal podcast voice.
Yeah.
And but yeah, no, I just love the fact that I was able to meet him in person. And I don't know if we're ever going to work together. I would like to, but I'll leave that up to him because he's He's a very unique person.
Yeah,
To say the least.
Squirrel inspired me a lot too. Squirrel like I saw your format, and then like Marvin kind of schooled me a lot on the technical aspects of this.
Yeah, he's
And
really good at that.
yeah, bro, fucking like, you know, first one, I mean, but like, you know, he like, you know, he like, he'll like hold your hand into doing it, and then it's like it takes its own form.
Right.
Squirrel's influence, man. Squirrel has like, he's just that's my fucking brother, bro. I'm really gonna miss him, bro. He's going to Jamaica.
For
But
good?
not for, he's living down there. He actually has an animation show called Just for Fun.
Okay.
Check that out. JUSFIFUN. And it's just like, it's like a Jamaican like animated show. And it's like kicking ass. So he's heading down there, but I'm like, you know, but he like talking to the squirrel, which is crazy because this motherfucker owes me a podcast before he goes. Yeah, dude, he just inspired me a lot, man, because he like, you have conversations with Squirrel, and Squirrel will like, he's like it's a true like art of like conversationalism. Like Squirrel's like, he's a great host, and he makes everybody fucking.
Yeah,
he's a really good interviewer.
He has a great penchant for interview. I mean, the day when he had Marv on his show, he was able to open up to Marv in a way that he had probably never done before.
Yeah,
he has that gift.
I think after after Squirrel's thing, Marv really got back into like the like he was more of like an engineer of it, and then he just like started getting like, Marv in the Morning came out, and he's been fucking mad consistent with it.
I love that consistency too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I mean this too, man. This has been fucking like, this has been strange because like it first of all, when it first started, the first one was me, Marv, John Page, and
I heard that one.
Yeah, those and it was like a conversation with everybody all together, and then I started to do like, it's a little bit like art, a little bit like I take drawing classes outside of this, and when you're sketching like singular people, it's like, you know, this is just one piece, but when you're sketching in group, it's different. So it's like, it's not a lot of conversation. So what I've ended up doing, I think we're probably gonna end up going back to format because I want to learn about you. Like a lot of this podcast is me just learning about you. And there was when it started to take form, it was like the mission of it is to learn really like how to listen and to really like give. It's like, and that's where like I tried to start it earlier, man. I've tried to do like Zeitoun on cinema. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
Yeah, I still want to do movie reviews. It's just like, you know, I don't know. I don't want to like cloud it with it, but it's like the ability to like learn.
You just gotta find your niche at the end of the day, or just do whatever the fuck makes you feel comfortable.
I just love talking to artists, man.
Yeah.
I really like. I get bits. It's a very privileged position. It's like I get bits of like knowledge, and like. You see people's passion, and you see like, you know, you see people you see people recollecting their lives.
Yeah.
And then there's like, you know, the smile like sometimes they'll get when it's like, you know, like, oh yeah, this is, oh, and then there was this piece, and then there's this piece, and it's like, yo, I genuinely like, I really love like listening to it. And then, you know, we'll dig deeper into how somebody like hit a thing. Like, you know what I mean? I've had like skaters, and the range of it is crazy, man.
Yeah.
The range of like having, I had one guy who was a gallerist. Shout out to Paul Larson. He was a gallerist, and then the next day my buddy Gene was on, and fucking he was just like, you know, talking about like stealing porn and jerking off, and it was like fucking like in like first. It was great, bro. You know what I mean? It's like, you know, very like prestigious, you know what I mean, art gallerist to like, you know, it's like fucking AVN Shuckster, bro. The show is fucking like, I mean, shout out to Gene though. I got actually me and Gene, we're starting a documentary. I'm gonna interview Andy Dick on fucking February.
Yeah, you did mention that. You know, we were all at dinner on Friday night with a whole bunch of people, like kind of like the crew essentially. And you know, you mentioned the whole thing about Andy Dick. Just be careful out there, man.
No, yeah, that's what everybody says, man. It's we have his son there.
Okay.
His son is gonna be at the documentary, and like it's really just it's a 5-day podcast. It's not really a podcast though. It's like, you know, it's a documentary, which is, I guess, a 5-day podcast.
Were you a fan of Andy Dick prior?
Yeah. I like, you know, I liked a lot of the stuff that he was doing. You know what I mean? I liked like fucking like it was just weird because he's always been like a kind of a cameo kind of guy, and shit, fucking he was always like a cameo kind of guy where he would like, you would see it's a very like prevalent personality. It's like instantly recognizable, which is crazy. I was watching Knocked Up yesterday with my girlfriend, and fucking man, like it's crazy that this is the one chick who's knocked up is like just interviewing people on feet. And then Andy Dick tries to go in and like grab her fucking which is crazy because like, all right, that made it to the cut of the fucking movie, right?
And that might have been something that was not scripted either.
Really? You think so?
It's a possibility.
Possibility, but think about it. But think about how this this sense of fucking like what is right and what is wrong has changed since Knocked Up. You know what I mean? That was a normal thing. That guy was still making money. You know what I mean? He was still showing up on the red carpet at that time. And then it's like Hollywood built up this character, said, let the character run wild, and then fucking went, nah. Like, you know what I mean? And then it's, it's caused and like, he does a lot of fucked up shit. He's probably not fucking proud of it. You know what I mean? But like, I don't judge. I can't go into it with this premonition of like, I'm going to judge this guy. I don't know this I don't know this fucking guy. Yeah. I want him to tell me his story and to really like understand. And like, there's like people that are going to be like, it's crazy because none of us have met Andy Dick except for Gene. Gene says he's a wonderful guy. Gene's kind of a bigger fan of it. Like the one movie that Andy Dick made, which is crazy because I've been doing the research on the guy, and the guy's a fucking artist, man. He's like you won't take him as seriously as say like fucking Paul Thomas Anderson is releasing a film,
right?
But Andy Dick fucking financed, wrote, directed, and starred in a fucking thing that he fucking like he put up the money for, and it's Andy Rohn, first time director, and fucking it's like it's wacky ass fucking comedy, but like it's Andy Dick playing Andy, but it's like this, it's really a commentary he has on himself, and it's like he understands like kind of like the fucked up shit he does, and like he understands the character that he is, but
and that's probably what it is at the end of the day. He's just portraying a character, and behind closed doors, he's probably one of the most humble people you'll ever meet.
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a very like a lot of the people that like are still like will side with him. Very gentle people. It's just like it's just like his fucking antics have always been off color. It's Hollywood built that guy. You can't pay somebody $300,000 for eating a fucking chip. And then, and then you're like, yo, here's your show. Act crazy, act crazy, act crazy. And then when your fucking tide switches, you know what I mean? Like this person, you built this fucking monster, and Hollywood is just eating its own at that point. And that's kind of what I'm going in for. But I don't necessarily know what I'm going in for. But it's definitely going to be a weird project. But it's crazy because this has brought me into it to fucking, to like kind of prepare for it. But, and it's a very thing. But, but Gene was also on the show, you know what I mean? And it's like we have, we're doing like really good work, man. It's like it's very beautiful. This whole medium is very. It's it's strange because I'm like later in my life, like I could be like, oh, I'm gonna be a painter, I could be whatever. But picking this up and really seeing the art form that it is, like thank you Marv, and thank you fucking. Anytime, Squirrel and everybody, man. Fucking, it's like it's a beautiful community to be a part of.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is definitely a community that I'm proud to be a part of because. I mentioned this before on my platform plenty of times that there was a time where I used to do music, and I just felt like not only was it not going anywhere, but I don't think that people shared that reciprocation with me like they do now for the podcast. I mean, they could clearly see through my actions and my passion in my eyes that I'm really enjoying doing what I'm doing because I guess everything is hindsight 2020. I guess when I was doing music, I thought I was in love with the music and I was doing it for the art of it, for the passion, but at the end of the day, it just seemed like it was just another way to make sure that I could, like, it was like a get-rich-quick scheme kind of thing, But in some respects, I did take it serious to the point where I didn't want to do, like, these crazy, stupid dances that goes viral or, make some kind of nonsense in the lyrics. Like, I actually took the time to actually write down and pen really provocative, like, well, not thought-provoking shit. And, like, my goal was to make people think, like, damn, he's a fucking dope-ass writer and everything. So I would really go hard in trying to write. But then I also realized that like I was just forcing the issue. Like I don't know if it was writer's block or I just didn't have the real passion for it. And in hindsight, everything's 2020. I think I just got in there for the wrong reasons, and I don't feel that way with this podcast. You know, I feel like I'm doing it for all the right reasons, and most importantly, I'm doing it for me.
Yeah.
I'm doing it for me. It's probably the first thing that I've ever done in my life where I'm doing it for myself as opposed to worrying about what other people's, opinions.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, it's such a crazy format. Like, just the whole thing, man. I'm doing this. It's strange because I like I said, I was struggling with the format to be able to actually do this. And fucking, the format ended up just being like giving the thing to somebody else, is to really like highlight somebody. So we're going to go back actually kind of on the normal format of this thing, So tell me about your life, man. Tell me about like where you from. Tell me about like your early family life.
Yeah, sure. So I come from Hispanic parents. My mom was Colombian and my father was Costa Rican, God rest his soul. And I grew up, I was born in Teaneck, and I spent a little bit of time in Bergen County as a kid. But I would say that the area that I really grew up in and made me the person who I am is Hawthorne. And I love the idea that I was in a town where on one side it was Paterson, the other side was Ridgewood, and I felt like I was able to get the best of both worlds. So my parents split up at a very young age. I was like 9 or 10, maybe even 11, where my parents' divorce was finalized. And then my mother, who, when she came to this country, she came to Florida first. And then she eventually made her way up to Jersey for family reasons. But she was never a cold weather person. She didn't really like being up here. Chances are, she never met my dad. She probably would have never stayed that long. And then finally, when they divorced, she wanted to move back to Florida because that's where the majority of her family is, and including my grandparents, her parents. And at the time, I was a minor. I didn't have any say in the matter, but I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay here. I didn't want to move to another state. But like I said, I had no say in the matter. So I basically had to just grit my teeth until I was officially 18 legally and graduate high school, and then just get the fuck out of there. So it all started off with me not wanting to be there. But at the same time, I figured, you know what, maybe I should at least try to give it a chance because I'm here against my own will. And I don't want to keep projecting this negativity on me. But I just come to learn that it's not where I'm supposed to be. I don't feel like it was home. I didn't feel like I belonged. I was always, what's that word? I was always contentious with a lot of people because I was just different from everybody else. But I still managed to come up here every summer, and it was just a constant reminder of how, at the end of the day, I'm just a Jersey guy through and through. So I graduate high school, come back up here to Jersey. My father, unfortunately, is on the brink of losing his business. He had a business for 20 years. So instead of thinking that he's going to help me with going to college and so on and so forth, I had to start work immediately because he needed help with rent and so on and so forth. And I had to grow up pretty fast. It was kind of similar like having a child at a very young age, and you have to, put it in fast gear as far as being a grown-up. So I feel like I missed out on a lot of things in my 20s because I was too busy working full-time jobs and trying to go to school, and then I realized that school wasn't for me. I went to Passaic County Community College. I went to study communications because I figured at the time that if my rap career didn't pan out, then maybe I could still do something in media like radio. And the idea of radio came to me because I was a delivery driver for an auto parts store in 2005. And at the time, the only thing that we could listen to keep ourselves entertained was the radio. I mean, we had CD players, but we definitely didn't have any Bluetooths or iPods back then. Not even iPhones. That was the flip phone era still.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Which one do you have? Which one? You a Motorola Razr?
I actually did have the Razr. Yeah.
Razr's the shit, man.
Yeah.
Fucking. I wish I could go back to the Razr, man. I feel like that was the purest phone time.
It was certainly a simple time back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then
and I miss the actually that's kind of why I have the fold right now, is because I really miss you got the fuck out of here, and closing the phone. You don't have to do it. It's like
the real aggressiveness of it.
There's no aggressiveness anymore.
Yeah.
I can see you.
Yeah. So while I'm working this job, I realized that I'm listening to the radio so much, and I'm not even listening to the music. I'm listening to the on-air personalities. Like, I'm listening to Howard Stern, Mike and the Mad Dog, and even for the music stations, I'm more interested in the on-air personalities than the actual music. So next thing you know, subconsciously, I don't even realize that I'm doing it until somebody was looking at me weird in another car. I'm kind of like imitating and emulating, pretending like, and also kind of mimicking these radio personalities. Like Howard Stern could be on the air talking about God knows what, and I'm just repeating, mimicking everything that he said, but I'm making sure about my breath control and my voice and so on and so forth. And at the time, I was smoking like 1 million cigarettes in the car. So,
What pack do you know?
I was anything menthol.
Yeah.
Anything menthol.
That's
It didn't matter if it was Newports or Marlboro or whatever. As long as it was menthol, that's all I needed.
Paul Thomas Anderson, fucking American Spirit, man.
Spirit's
Converted
yellow.
my ass, bro.
Yeah.
I was actually on the Mark Maron podcast. I learned that fucking.
I know.
I went from blue to yellow because I'm like, yo. I was like, if Joaquin Phoenix and Paul Thomas Anderson are fucking. It's weird. I'm easily influenced, bro.
Right. So then, I figured like, well, if my rap career doesn't pan out, then maybe I could get into the media. Like I'm really getting a knack for this whole radio thing, and I'm listening even when I'm not working. I'm listening to it at home and just like listening to like DJ K Slay and all these and like
Rest in
DJ
peace, the Drama King.
Exactly. So all these other personalities, and I'm just like really intrigued about how the business works. So I tried. So I didn't even graduate PCCC because of personal circumstances, and I couldn't afford it anymore. I didn't even get financial aid. So I dropped out. And I decided that maybe I should give the Connecticut School of Broadcasting a shot because it was in my area at the time, and I heard ads from it all the time on the radio. So I figured, let me try to give this a shot. I go to orientation, and I'm looking forward to actually trying this thing out because it was exciting.
Yeah.
But they didn't have any financial programs or anything. Everything was just out of pocket, and it was going to cost me an arm and a leg. Especially me working a dead-end job and helping my father pay rent, that was not going to happen. So I figured, all right, well, I guess I'll just come back and do it whenever I can. Fast forward to now, we have podcasting.
Yeah.
The radio industry is dying already, and everybody's into this format now. And I love the fact that this is almost essentially, I feel like essentially I could do a radio show, but it's like I don't have to worry about the politics. It's my own creative freedom. I can do however I want and so on and so forth. I dictate the audience and I dictate the format and so on and so forth. And I don't have to worry about ratings.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that at the end of the day it all worked out.
Yeah, for real, bro. It's a very the freedom of all of it is great, man. It's
Yeah, and at the time, there was a lot of people in my family and friends that didn't believe in my rap career, and that was actually pretty discouraging. And at the time, I wasn't this person that I need to show the world that I could do this and I could prove everybody wrong and so on and so forth. I was just never that guy when I was younger. I felt like I needed the whole world to love me and support me in order for me to achieve my dreams.
Nah, man.
It doesn't work out that way,
You know what?
It's kind of sociopathical if you think about it.
You know what I've learned as an artist, man, is it's strange. That's kind of why I always choose filmmaker, because it's like this. It's not insurmountable. People do this shit all the time. They pump these shits out constantly. It's a whole fucking thing. But I was doing photography and I was doing music, and then I wanted to do both, and like I fucking got myself into this whole thing, and I've been a filmmaker since I was 21. It'll be 10 years this year.
Wow.
It'll be 10 years this June that I've been like, I am like a fucking filmmaker. This is like what I do.
That's
like,
exciting.
Yeah, no, it's weird, but it was a whole journey to do all this shit, and it's strange, man, because when it's I think I was talking to Rashad the other day, and Rashad was he's just like anxious to fucking like to really say like like I've made it, like I fucking like what I mean, like I'm like when everybody's good, like and it's half, and Alex was there as well, and it's this thing where like if I received no money or if I received no accolade, would I still do what I do? Right. You know what I mean? Like if I received like nothing from, like it's like playing it's like being a master guitarist in like fucking Arizona, and you're just playing in front of your house, but you're playing the guitar to play the guitar. Right. You know what I mean? Like I'm shooting these photos for me. I very, very rarely, like, I'll go and be like, yo, here's money, or here's like but it doesn't matter. It's just the fact of like of you pursuing the craft as your meditation or as your goal. It keeps you like kind of, it's like I've used the term anchor a lot. Like films are like my anchor, where it's like if I'm not trying to go and make films, something's fucking wrong. You know what I mean? That's why I'm like giving up on like life, dog. Yeah. Because it's like the samurai path, bro.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there was a time in between before I got into the podcast and before I started, dwindling down on my music career, where I hit a real part of depression because I felt like, well, you know what? It's not working out and things are not going my way. Maybe I'm just meant to just be a good little soldier where I just go home and after work and, just eat my dinner, live my life. Maybe I have a wife and kids and just, take care of them and just live a very boring, mundane life. Because maybe I was thinking, that's just my destiny. And I learned to accept it for a little bit, and then the depression just really caved in. Because all my life, ever since I was a kid, I felt like I needed to do something creative, something that was, people can be proud of me at the very least, but more important, me being proud of what I do. And then afterwards, like I said, I hit through a really bad depression between that time period. And then some other personal things were happening in my life, especially with an ex-girlfriend. And add that all into the mix, I was legitimately suicidal. Matter of fact, I told a story on another guy's podcast about less than a year ago where long story short, I was actually very, very intoxicated. I drank a whole 12 case of beer by myself, basically trying to poison myself. And then I went outside to my balcony. I live on the 4th floor, on the top floor of my building. And I was really, really considering and almost really to the point of attempting to just jump off. Because, and the fucked up part about it was that not only was I depressed and I was thinking about ending it all, but it was also kind of a sense of martyrdom, and like in some weird sick way, I was thinking that for everybody that didn't believe in me or had this to say about me and so on and so forth, you were the reason why I took my life. And I kind of wanted to just haunt people's life with the fact that they were the reason why I decided to take my own life. And that was actually like looking back on it and you hearing myself talk about it really sucks because like I shouldn't fault people for the reason for the way that I feel, At the end of the day, it all starts with me, and I just needed to get out of it. And when you suffer from depression and anxiety, it's not just something you can turn off with a light switch. So I basically had to find another route. And as corny and as cliche as it sounds, this podcast has saved my life. It really has. Saved my fucking life.
Word, bro. Yeah, that's word. Fucking, that's beautiful, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's weird, man. That's why I was saying like films are like my anchor. It's crazy. I'm doing an illusion for you. I've had that kind of thing too, where it's like, where I'd had like a really deep fucking like a deep feeling. Like I think it was my ex-girlfriend at one point too, where I was like, I had one where it's just like she like left me. It was a whole thing where I was just stuck in the woods and fucking it was just. And I remember I was just trying to end it all at one point, but it's crazy because it's these things, this art that we make is really like, to give an example, so I witnessed a murder in my life. I got kind of like wrapped into the whole fucking thing, and it was somebody I knew. The two people were people I knew.
Jesus.
One guy is like still in jail, fucking the other guy's dead, but the long story before that. So this is like kind of an event that ended up like leading to the murder. So this is California during like the Paradise Fires. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like but we were up in Redding, and there was the car fire. So the car fire was the biggest one. It started. It was crazy because while it started, it was one of the biggest ones until the Paradise Fire. It took Paradise, which was like a couple hours south, maybe like an hour or two south. The car fire started. We were swimming in the lake, me, my buddy Alex, the whole like weed growing crew, and we were swimming in the lake, and we saw the fire on this one mountain, and then the fire jumped by the end of the time we were there. And then after a while, the fire started just it destroyed like all of Old Shasta, bunch of stuff, right? We're up in the mountains in Oak Run, and we're all sitting there like, we're trying to keep an eye on it because, we would have to evacuate. We're in the middle of the woods. We're 15 miles away from everything.
Yeah.
So we're keeping an eye on it, and we had like, me and my girlfriend, we had a fucking very specific line. Like, if the fire crosses this line, we take everything and dip, right? So earlier that day, we're gonna go. We're in the middle of the woods. We have to go and get gas and fucking resources and shit.
Right.
Go. We pick up. This one guy's like, "Hey man, can you head to town? I don't have a working car. Can you go get me gas? I'll give you $20." All right, whatever. Go get the gas. Bring the gas back to this guy. Later in the night, I'm watching Sopranos. I'm in my underwear and with my girlfriend, and we're in this like we had this like little bus that would like overwatch the fucking weed farm.
Yeah.
Middle of the night, fucking gates bust open. Dude, we got gas force fucking like on a quad, and he's like fire, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck, man? I get you gas, man. I was like, he's like, I'm like, I get you gas, and I was like, dude, get the fucking like the lights off the plants. And he's like, fire. I'm like, no, dude. I'm like, it's at Palisadro. I just checked it like 15 minutes ago. And he's like, no, dude, turn around. And the dude 3 houses up from us set his house on fire.
Jesus.
It was like a crazy meth head. He fucking set his house on fire, I guess, to compete. He's just a crazy guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, but he set his house on fire. The conditions are probably the worst in California history for fire.
Oof.
Sets his house on fire. It's a couple houses up. I just brought my entire life from Los Angeles. All my savings has gone into into these plants.
Yeah.
I had just brought all the possessions that I accrued over 3 years of trying to support myself through school, and then this crackhead fucking sets his house on fire.
Jesus Christ.
But I had all the film equipment. I had fucking books, all the shit that I was buying for the thing, but whatever. You only have a couple minutes to react in those moments. So fucking we got the dogs. My girlfriend, we had a fucking 93 Toyota Corolla. Like a fucking, I used to haul water in this motherfucker to like feed the plants because we had no running water or electricity.
Right.
Fucking, we load up the dogs. She got a seat, the dogs got a seat. And in that moment, you could take whatever you're packing your shit for the last possible time. You know what I mean? Like, you have, like, a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And I remember I took the MacBook Pro. The Mac Pro, my Blackmagic Pocket, my colorist wheel, everything that it was for filmmaking. Right. Because at the end of the day, regardless of if I was selling or if I was growing weed, or, like, whatever the fuck, if I was doing, like, land shit, I am a fucking filmmaker, and I need to, like, that's, like, my life. So, like, that's what I know, and that's, like, if the world is ending, I'm people are like, yo, if you want to be on an island, what albums would you take?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, what would you do? Because at the end of the day, bro, that's, like, who you are.
Yeah.
Like, it's really your art form is really what is, like, is your true, like, creative expression. Like, the rest of it's all really bullshit.
Right.
It's just all things to support.
Right. But I love what you're doing as well, man, because you're in control of your own destiny as far as your career is going, and you've been using it in a sense where you want to be prevalent in like the arts and so on and so forth. Because like I feel like way too many talented people just to not let it get unnoticed.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is, bro, if there's this entire network of people that have been built up, and it's like, if anybody gets anything, like, it's mostly I just like, yo, these people do great work, bro. Like, they do great fucking work. Like, it's like nuts, and it's like, yo, if it helps anybody, like, I don't know if it's gonna help or if, like, whatever, like, fucking somebody picks up something, but it's like, yo, it really fucking like going into fucking like hearing people's stories, hearing like how they approach their art, hearing like just little things, shit that inspired, like, you know, how people are actually going and pursuing their art forms, man. That's like, it's a privilege, it's a great position to like to just be there.
Yeah.
Like I'm happy to listen because I, you know, there's I think it was Tarantino. It was an interview that he had. It comes up on my YouTube sometimes, but Tarantino is talking about like, he's like how you can become a better film director, right. And he's like, you could sit there and you could work, you know, as an actor under somebody, and like, you know, that's how you'll get like their directing style. He's like, but there are some things that you can do to make yourself as a director. Like if you had dinner with, not even like be on set, if you had dinner with Martin Scorsese weekly, and like fucking like just absorbed his love of films, you will be a better director.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like I became a better like podcast host because I hang out with you guys. You know what I mean? But like it took a second for me to find my voice, because nobody's gonna make anything the same way you're gonna make yours. Like right. I'm the zany personality. I can't like Conan O'Brien can't stop. I don't know if you ever saw that thing, but there's a special for Conan. Yeah, after he ended Conan. But like I was trying to find my voice in this thing. I think the first few ones, like I was sketching the people while we were talking, and then you know, and it was like, oh, let's throw this conversation and just like see where it goes, or go topic to topic. But it really just ends up being like, I really just want to learn more about like the artists that are like,
yeah.
hear me about.
And it's a funny thing that you bring up Conan, because as you know, I'm a Howard Stern fan.
Yeah,
I've always been for a very long time. I was reading his book, Howard Stern Comes Again. And he talks about some of the best moments of the show and the best interviews he's ever done. And he said that the best view he ever done in his entire career, which spans over more than 4 decades maybe, is when he had Conan O'Brien on. And Howard Stern just has a really big precedent of how to like have celebrities spill their guts. And Conan has always been this very funny guy. He knows how to put on a show and so on and so forth. It was the only time that I ever seen him humanized, and he was talking about how he suffers.
Bobblehead,
right?
Yeah.
And it was probably the first time that he's ever been open about him dealing with depression and him being self-medicated and so on and so forth. The one takeaway that he said, and it really hit me hard because it was so true, was when he said, "I used to think I had to be incredibly unhappy in order to be funny." And when he said that, it resonated with me so much, because I remember there was a time where I felt like I had to show a specific persona of myself in order to have people believe me, or realize that I'm doing this thing forever instead of just being myself. And maybe it did work with some people, maybe it didn't, but all I know is that I was unhappy during that whole time, because I felt like I had to hide the fact of who I really was, because I felt like maybe who I wasn't good enough. And then afterwards I just shed that. And it's got to the point where like I don't want to say that I don't care about people's opinions. I guess I'm just more open-minded about it, and I'm able to take constructive criticism nowadays. And you know, I actually welcome people that if they don't sugarcoat anything that they have to tell me, because I want to become the better version of myself. I mean, how do I know? How do I solve a problem if I don't know that there is a problem? So I just learned to just be more comfortable with myself, and I couldn't be happier for it. And I got to tell you right now, man, this is January 16th. We're basically almost halfway. We're pretty much halfway done with the month of the brand new year. Yeah. And I got to tell you, already it's very early, and I don't want to feel like I'm putting my foot in my mouth or anything, but so far 2023 has been one of the better years that I've had in recent memory.
Do you have any special shout-outs? I don't know.
Well, first and foremost, shout out to you, man. Shout out to being just who you are. You're one of the very few people I know in this world that is not afraid to be in their own skin and be themselves and fuck everybody else, but also being a nice, genuine, authentic person. You know, that's the thing that I take away about you more than anything. I feel like if I didn't think that you were a good guy, I probably would have you in my circles, because I don't have time for bullshit.
Thanks, bro.
So like that's you know, I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy having you around. I really support you being I really support you as much as you've been a big supporter of my platform and everything, man. That means the whole world to me.
Thanks.
Shout out to everybody at Bravery Studios, specifically Mina Mendoza and of course Marv. And also Hugo Boy Podcast and Chris Abato. Definitely shout out those people. Shout out to Joe Fucarino and everybody else at Jersey Media for taking a chance on me in the beginning and being really supportive and being good friends of mine. And most importantly, you you know, I don't want to sound too cocky or anything, but shout out to myself for actually bigging myself up now.
Fuck yeah, bro.
Yeah.
First class, second place, guys.
Yes, sir.
Afternoon FM. Stay beautiful, people.
Stay beautiful.